Hi everyone, today we're going to continue learning about animal and plant cell vocabulary, and we're going to be doing this by looking more closely at the vocabulary that we've learned in the previous video. So if you haven't watched that one, go back and watch part 1 so you can be prepared for today. This will be a review and an activity that we'll complete together, but you definitely need to have that foundation from part 1 to be able to continue with us today. You will need some supplies, so let me show you what you'll need today. You do need to have a piece of paper, and you need to have at least 9 colored markers, colored pencils, or crayons, and they all need to be different colors, okay? So if you don't have your supplies yet, go ahead and pause here, grab those items, and come right back. Okay, let's get started. Plant and animal cells. This animal cell is the basic building block of all life in animals. We are animals, so it is a building block within us. Also, plant cells are the building blocks of life in plants. Our very first item to look at is a cell membrane. Now, today we're going to be comparing every job of every organelle with a job from a city perspective. So that way, maybe it can sink in really deep within you and you can really remember what these organelles are, their jobs and functions, okay? So we'll start first with the cell membrane. This is the cell membrane that is the outside of the cell. It controls all of the materials that would either enter or exit the cell, okay? And you can see that right here close up in the animal cell. It surrounds the cell. And you notice, remember we talked about how the animal cell is like a blob. So we're going to start first with making our cell membrane for our city. This is the cell membrane. You might compare it, if you were looking at the characteristics of a city, you might say that it's very much the same as a city border or the city limits, okay? And that is the cell membrane. It keeps material inside and allows material to enter in. It also allows material to exit. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw this one first. So we have our primary external shape of our cell. I'm going to choose red. Okay, and you're just drawing a blob. Congratulations. It does not have to be fancy. It's not a perfect circle, it's a blob. So it can be uneven, a little bit wonky on one end or the other, that's fine. It just can't be an organized shape. Animal cells are blobs, okay? So let's label that. That is the cell membrane. We compared it to the city border. Okay? And if you need to pause this video at any time to write something down, go ahead and do that because we'll just keep moving forward. Okay? Let's go to our next organelle. The next organelle we'll talk about is the nucleus. It is the control center of the cell. It's like the brain of the cell, okay? So if we were comparing this to a city, we might say it's kind of like City Hall. It's maybe the mayor that sits at the seat in City Hall and gives instructions and guidance for all of the community members, okay? So we're gonna call the nucleus City Hall, okay? Let's go ahead and draw that. I'm going to use purple for mine. So it just starts out with a circle. Oh, it's starting to look like a little animal with an eyeball over here. And then it does have a border around it. Now it really looks like an animal. Okay, so make sure you've drawn the whole nucleus, and we're going to, of course, label it. So we're calling that the nucleus, and we're also naming that City Hall to help us remember. Okay, let's go to the next organelle. The next organelle is called the mitochondria. It is the powerhouse of the cell. It supplies all of the energy for the cell, okay? So if we are comparing this to something in a city, we might say that it's like the power plant of the city, giving everyone power, okay? So let's draw the mitochondria. As you draw the mitochondria, just make sure that you're making an oval, okay? And you want to have that squiggle in the middle with a different color. This color of the squiggle could be something that you use to repeat for another organelle. That's okay. But make sure you've created the oval and the squiggle on the inside, okay? And that is the mitochondria. The mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Okay, let's go to our next organelle. Our next organelle is the endoplasmic reticulum. It is like a post office in a city. It produces and packages proteins for the cell. Let's go ahead and draw this one. It is like a semicircle with these little squiggle spots, I guess. I don't know what else to call them. So let's do our best to draw the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum, usually there are two, okay? And now this really is starting to look like a creature. The eyeball with the eyebrow and maybe some dark circles underneath. They haven't been sleeping good. So the endoplasmic reticulum, make sure you label it. The endoplasmic reticulum, the post office. Let's go to our next one. Within the endoplasmic reticulum lives ribosomes. Ribosomes package up amino acids to create proteins. Okay, and as you remember, the endoplasmic reticulum that it's sitting within packages those up in the post office, right? So our ribosomes are kind of like a pharmacy, uses directions to kind of fill a prescription for the endoplasmic reticulum, which really the prescription comes from the nucleus, the brain of the cell. It tells the endoplasmic reticulum, I need some protein. It tells then the ribosomes, make those proteins, and everything ends up working together. But we could call this the pharmacy, okay? You're just going to add some dots within your endoplasmic reticulum, and we'll label those ribosomes. So you can see those dots up close. Okay, here's our ribosomes in the endoplasmic reticulum, making and packaging up those proteins like a pharmacy. Okay, so now that we have all of the proteins created, we have the Golgi apparatus, which actually takes the proteins and other materials and moves them out of the cell. Okay, so we could call this like the FedEx or the UPS driver that takes the protein or the mail from the post office and delivers it out of the cell, out to the homes, like FedEx or UPS. Okay, so it's a delivery system, the Golgi apparatus. Let's draw that next. Okay, so we have our Golgi apparatus, our FedEx or UPS drivers moving those proteins out of the cell. Okay, let's go to the next organelle. Okay, next we have the lysosomes. They are like the garbage disposal or rogue disposal in our town that takes all of the invaders, all of the garbage that's in the cell out of the cell and moves it away. Okay, so it collects and digests all of the waste. So this in our city that we're designing is kind of like rogue disposal or a garbage disposal. Okay, so let's draw that one. Okay, here are our lysosomes, known as the garbage disposal in our city. Okay, so far our cell is looking really cool. We have one more thing to talk about, the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is all of the jelly-like substance that's all within the cell, and it holds and protects all of the organelles. So if you think of it, it's kind of like, maybe a little bit like a city park where all the organelles are kind of hanging out. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our cytoplasm. Is there much to draw? Not really. It's more like just shading in, right? Because the cytoplasm is the entire cell. So let's do some coloring. Maybe choose a light color so it shows up well. Okay, that took a while. Here's our cytoplasm all colored in. It is the city park. Okay, so there you have it. Our cell compared to the functions in a city. Okay, so the ribosomes, that's the pharmacy, packaging up the proteins, the endoplasmic reticulum, the post office, getting those ready to ship out, the nucleus, that city hall that's in charge and giving everyone all the directions they need, the Golgi apparatus, that UPS and FedEx job where they're taking all of the materials that don't belong in the cell anymore and shipping them out, the lysosomes that are the garbage disposal, the cytoplasm, kind of like a city park, the mitochondria, which is that powerhouse of the cell, providing its energy, and the cell membrane, the border that creates that safety screen for the cell, letting things in and out and keeping things in and keeping things out. Okay, so there you have it. Good job, everybody. Okay, so now you have a big job to do. You're going to show me and your other teachers that you understand all the parts of a cell, an animal cell specifically, and you're going to show us on the assignment that's in your Google Classroom. So I'll let you get to work. See you next time.